Today we're talking about live webinars versus automated webinars versus challenge funnels. What is the best way to sell your offers using these one-to-many funnels in 2025? Now, this video is for people who sell the following types of offers online, right? So if you sell info products, you sell courses, you sell cohorts, you sell coaching programs, so you might be group coaching, it might be one-to-one coaching, you sell consulting, or you might sell expert services, or you might sell software, right? Not enterprise type software that you're probably selling to like beginner business owners, people building funnels, things like that, right? And in this video, what we're going to talk about is the pros and cons of each of these one-to-many funnels, which offers work best with each of these different types of funnels, which traffic sources work best for each of these different types of funnels, how complex each of these funnels are to get right, and then my biased personal opinion on each funnels. Now, why should I have a biased personal opinion? Well, I've sold over £1 million, not dollars, worth of coaching and info using my sales and marketing funnels and automations, whether that be building VSL funnels, back-end systems. I have testimonials here that you can go to on webinarwizards.com. I have case studies that you can go to on my YouTube, and I have client interviews that you can go to on my YouTube as well. Now, I started off just doing the whole kind of like growth operating thing, and then I figured out that sophisticated business owners don't actually want a growth operator. They just want someone to take care of a specific area of their business, which when I now started specializing, in one-to-many funnels, and I started Webinar Wizards as an offer. Here's a bit of an on-screen thing that I take whenever we do a webinar with a client. So the question on everyone's mind, if you're watching this, is which one-to-many mechanism should I use for my business or my offer, right? And maybe you already do a one-to-many funnel. Maybe you currently use a video sales letter funnel, and maybe you want to start doing one-to-many every month or so, like on top of your VSL funnel. Or maybe this is your first funnel, right? And you're launching a new offer and you're wondering which of these one-to-many funnels is best for you to use. Now, don't worry, you are more than certainly on the right path if you are exploring one-to-many, because one-to-many might just be your ticket to freedom, because it provides you with leverage in your sales process, shorter sales cycles, better clients and customers, less refunds, more trust, and most importantly, more money, right? Because after all, you're a business owner, you're not a charity. And believe me when I tell you, there is no other sales mechanism on earth that can bring you as much money in such a short period of time as a one-to-many sales process. But how should you choose to do it? Should you use a live webinar funnel? Should you use an automated webinar funnel? Or should you use a challenge funnel? Let's start and talk about live webinars. Now, live webinars are our bread and butter here at Webinar Wizards. When our clients come to us to do webinars, when they've seen our content, they've seen our YouTube, Instagram, newsletter, whatever, it's typically because what they want to start doing is they want to start incorporating live webinars around their VSL funnel once a month or so. So they run their VSL funnel like evergreen, they run their ads to it, they run most of their traffic to it. But for 1 week out of every month, what we'll do is we'll promote a live webinar. And that's because they want to make the use of their organic traffic, and they want to give them a reason to act now because of the urgency and the fear of missing out factor that comes with doing a live webinar. And to spell out the obvious, if you don't know what a live webinar is, which I hope you're not fucking retarded and you do, but just in case, I'm not calling you retarded, but you know what I mean. To spell out the obvious, a live webinar funnel requires you to just build a presentation, you run traffic to a sign-up page, you get everyone in a live room, and then you actually present it live, right? And the ideal frequency for this is usually monthly. In my opinion, I've spoke to loads of other people who do webinars for their clients or offer this funnel as a service, and most of us agree that doing it monthly is the nicest like cadence of doing it. You do the webinar, you have a 2-week follow-up process after the webinar, you have 1 week to iterate on the feedback that you got from the webinar, tweak anything, and then you have another 1 week to promote for the next one, right? The optimal duration, usually about 60 to 90 minutes for most offers, maybe 2 hours plus for premium offers. I've seen some people do like 3-hour webinars. I wouldn't recommend it if it's your first time, but I know that some people do it. Show up rates in terms of the data that we have from our clients, show up rates for live webinars are typically between 45 and 50% with the systems that we use to get people to actually show up. And that's primarily organic traffic, by the way. For cold traffic, we have had 40% show rates in the past from people running Meta and TikTok ads, but that's not a standard process, right? We use certain tips and tricks for show up rates. If you want to know more about that, I've got loads of YouTube videos on it. So which offers work best on a live webinar, right? So the offers that work best on a live webinar, this is unlike other options that we're going to be covering. Live webinars are a great choice to sell all types of offers, right? Whether that be a mid-ticket offer that you actually want to pitch on the call. So by mid-ticket, it's anywhere from like 500 to 2K is usually the usual parameters. High ticket offers where you're basically doing the presentation and then the call to action is for people to then book a call with you, whether that be a software that you're selling, whether you want to do like a demo style where you can be a bit more versatile, you can answer questions, even for, in some cases, B2B agency offers, if you have a robust enough backend and fulfillment system that you can actually like bring on that many people that quickly with a one-to-many funnel, this might work really well for you. Or if you're selling masterminds or high-end communities. Now, which traffic sources work best for live webinars? Now, when it comes to traffic sources, you can kind of run all kinds of traffic to a live webinar, right? So organic, short form, long form, email list, written, X, LinkedIn, right? Paid ads, Meta and TikTok. Well, Meta primarily for, you can kind of run Meta to any live webinar funnel. But I would say for TikTok, we actually did a really good webinar where we were getting like £1.50, £2 leads from TikTok ads for a B2C business opportunity offer. You can get traffic from your existing customer base to like upsell and cross-sell. So a good example of this is if you have a low ticket community, like a school community, a WOP community, and then you have a high ticket product, doing a webinar within that community and then upselling those people to high ticket is an option. Joint venture partnerships and affiliates, and then also retargeting campaigns to people on your email list and stuff. These are just some ways that you can get traffic for your live webinars. Now, if you have a strong personal brand on a platform like Instagram especially, there's our clients who do the kind of like the biggest webinars that we do have a strong personal brand on Instagram primarily, or maybe Twitter, and you're not doing webinars, you are leaving tens of thousands of, maybe even hundreds of thousands of dollars a month on the table by just not doing live webinars once a month and just sending all the traffic to your VSL funnel. So the pros of doing live webinars, right? High conversion rate as opposed to auto, because live webinars typically favor organic, right? You're not gonna have an organic audience and send them to an automated webinar, because if they're on your webinar and then they check their phone and you've just posted something on Instagram, they're gonna know that it's not automated. So I wouldn't suggest doing that, but they have really high conversion rates simply for the fact that most people drive organic traffic to it. You could actually build trust through real human connection, right? When you've running a video sales letter funnel, it's a pre-recorded video. When you're running an automated webinar funnel, it's a pre-recorded video. When you're doing YouTube videos, it's a pre-recorded video, right? And all of these mechanisms work well on their own, but there's something that I always think, and I've kind of put it down there, and it's a bit of a thing of proximity to the guru, right? If someone's been watching your personal brand and they actually feel like, oh my goodness, I'm on a call live with this person, I can ask them questions, they're gonna respond to me, they're gonna say my name. People don't actually factor that in as like a really good reason why you should be doing live webinars. It also creates that fear of missing out because it's live, right? If you drive an automated webinar and you go onto the sign up page and it's like just in time and you have a webinar in 15 minutes, you have it in 20 minutes, you've got it in half an hour, you've got one the next day at the same time, it doesn't create that fear of missing out, right? And that will get people to act, drive your registration rate, drive your show up rate, and it also builds your email list as well. So if there's been people watching your organic content and they're kind of like sitting on the fence about working with you, it just gives them a reason for you to capture their data, and then you can retarget them with emails or whatever. More pros of doing live webinars, right? You can bring success stories on live, and they're actually gonna tell a live, not a pre-recorded story, right? So it's gonna be authentic. You can actually dynamically objection handle in real time during the Q&A at the end. So if you do an automated webinar, you obviously can't do that because you're not actually there. Your offers, if you are running like a limited time offer or whatever, there is actually urgency to that offer because you are actually live. It's not automated. If it's automated and you say like, oh, you know, you have to sign up by 12 p.m. tonight, people are gonna be like, it's fucking automated. Like, you filmed this maybe a month and a half ago, and was it scarce that day? Is it scarce every day since then? It just doesn't really work. So you can actually put legitimate scarcity behind the offers that you run on a live webinar. And it also creates this like event status. So I actually did a video on this that I was thinking about a bit more. And it drives higher attendance and forces people to act because you position it as like a live event. Like, if you're not there, you miss it. So I always think about season finales. Like, I, for example, stay up until like 3, 4 in the morning here in the UK to watch a UFC match in Vegas at a ridiculous time because I want to see it live, right? If I knew that was just going to be like pre-recorded and they weren't going to release it until the next day, there's no chance I'm going to stay up until that time or wake up at that time to watch a UFC match. But there is, because it's actually live. So there's that factor to doing it. The cons of doing a live webinar, so there's not too many. However, what I would say is that it actually obviously requires you to show up there live. That's what makes it powerful. But obviously, if you're doing an automated webinar, you get the advantage of you can film it once or whatever, and then you obviously don't have to show up live every month or week or however often you're doing it. There is like some margin of error in the tech setup, right? So if you fuck up the tech, let's say, for example, your Wi-Fi goes down or whatever, you can then just simply not do that webinar. Whereas if it's recorded, you know, you're going to show up anyway because it's just a recording of you. There's a performance element involved, right? So Russell Brunson, all of his like webinar offers and stuff actually center around getting good at presenting. So if you're not too confident in presenting on a live webinar, then this might be a little bit difficult for you, right? And you might just want to pre-record it. Although the performance and the fact that you're actually live is what builds that genuine connection. If you fuck up, people see that you're actually a human being and you can go off tangents like this, like on the slides, and people see that you're actually thinking. It's not completely leveraged like an auto webby, and people may not be able to make the specific time that you choose to host a live webinar, right? So obviously you can offer them the replay. Replays aren't going to be as powerful, but you know, people might not be able to show up, is why people don't typically run YouTube ads to a live webinar, because someone might just be scrolling on YouTube, they sign up for it and then they forget it. But that's why you just simply have to choose the day that you think your audience will be able to attend the most, right? So if you're selling a B2B offer, not a B2B offer, sorry, a B2C offer, it's probably smart not to do it on a Saturday night, right? Because a lot of your prospects might be going out, they might be getting drunk or whatever, and then it's better to do it on a Sunday night when they're hungover and they want to sort their life out, right? So that's the cons. How complex are live webinars to actually get right? Not very, but then also very complicated if you haven't done it before, right? Like every funnel, it's not easy or else everyone would be doing it. However, one of the kind of the bulk of it is that it's very traffic focused, right? And if you're running paid as well, you need to factor in your ad spend and your creative testing. But the majority of a live webinar is simply traffic focused, run all the traffic to a landing page, right? Test the landing page, split test the landing page, make sure that it's actually going to convert, pre-webinar systems to get them to show up, presentation, follow-up and sales process needs to be dialed, and that's regardless whether or not you're booking a call. Obviously, don't do a book a call funnel if you don't have the sales team, the setters, the SDRs, the closers, to actually go ahead and close those people at high rates. But look, live webinars are not too complex, right? You do need to make sure that your presentations are actually very good. Like you can't get away with just doing a shit presentation and then hoping that everyone will close. You need to make sure that you've got your tech set up right, like I said earlier. And then also, benefits from team support. So for example, with our clients, we moderate the webinars to make sure nothing's going wrong. We manage the chat for them. We pop the links in there for them and everything like that. My biased personal opinion on live webinar funnels is that they are arguably the best one-to-many selling mechanism when they're executed correctly, right? Great if you have a good following. Challenges work really well for more established personal brands. So challenges are more like a live webinar, but over multiple days, which we'll get onto later. And I believe that every offer owner should be doing live webinars once a month because there's absolutely no downside to doing it. You literally just create the funnel once, create the slides once. You do it once a month, you do a bit of iteration for it, you post a bit of content promoting it, and that week after you do the webinar, let's say you're booking in a call, will probably be your highest revenue week of the month without a doubt, because you book in a massive influx of calls. They're all pretty much ready to pay. Our closers who work for our clients say that they feel like order takers when they take webinar calls, not even closers, because the people just book a call and they're just going to pay because they've been through the webinar, because they've been nurtured so much, and because we write really good webinars. 1 week of promo is all you need, email, short form, and maybe even a YouTube video. It creates the quickest path to cash for closing both new and existing leads, right? So you can re-engage your old leads, nurture those who don't buy, so then they also come back and work with you down the line when the time is right. So something else that we see a lot is that we'll do a webinar and a client will come back to someone will come back to one of our clients after maybe 2-3 months, and we can track that they were on the first webinar, but maybe something just wasn't right for them. Like a good example is like, let's say someone hasn't left their job yet, or they need to finish university first, or they just got a bit of money in, and now you're the first person they think of because when they were on that webinar, you sold them, but they just didn't buy straight away. So it's really good for that. And that's live webinar funnels. So it's worth the investment in learning how to do it right, or obviously you can just hire us to do it for you if you like, but I'm not going to pitch you now. Let's talk about automated webinar funnels. So automated webinar funnels, most people who like promote automated webinar funnels seem to be like kind of older business owners, right? Who perhaps still think that it's 2016 and that you can just spin up a ClickFunnels lander and get some really cheap leads off Meta, and then you can just pitch on the webinar and print money out the sky, right? The biggest problem that I have with automated webinars is when they try and pretend that they're live, right? So you'll watch the recording and the person's like, what's going on, guys? You know, so excited to have you all here today and whatever. And like, you're not live. I'm watching a pre-recorded message. It's like you posting a reel and pretending that you're on Instagram Live, right? So that's my biggest problem with it. And I also believe that the audience isn't stupid. They know that if they've gone on your YouTube ads, right, and it says that there's a webinar in half an hour and there's also another one in 2.5 hours, they know that you, as the offer owner who is selling them like freedom and business and whatever in their life, that you are not sat there all day, every day, hosting webinars, right? So that's kind of my biggest problem with them. Now, I'm not ridiculously closed-minded. I know that there are some people who have managed to make automated webinars work well for them, like in recent times, right? I'm not talking about like Ty Lopez or Russell Brunson. So Tom Stoic is someone who comes to mind. I know that he was running an auto webby for a while for his copywriting course, and he got it up to like 80k USD or something before he stopped doing them and started doing them live. Probably just rinsed his audience a bit and realized that it didn't work, but whatever, right? Which offers work best on automated webinars? So I would say low to mid-ticket products, right? Not high ticket if you want to pitch. An automated webinar isn't enough to pitch a high ticket product on the call, right? Yeah, people are not going to click on a YouTube ad and pay you 5k with no call. It's just not going to happen straight away, right? Intro offers, right? So you can use the automated webby to sell them like a mid-ticket or a low ticket, and then position it as like, right, because you've paid, you can book a call and then you can upsell them to high ticket, or doing what people like John Pemberthy do. So he'll do like a half an hour webinar just in time, and he won't say that it's live. He will just say it's like a free workshop that he filmed the other week or whatever. And then you can simply just book them in for a call after that. So it's just like it's a bit of a longer VSL framed as a webinar or a workshop or whatever. And what traffic sources work really well for automated webinars? So this is a bit of a bright spot for automated webinars in that YouTube ads work really well. So just in time automated webinars for YouTube ads, because the thing is when someone's on YouTube, they are actively they're looking to learn something, right? They might be sat down at their desk, they might be searching something up because they have a problem in their business and they were gonna watch something anyway, right? So you actually do have a chance of them watching a just-in-time webinar. Google search, again, same reason, just in time when someone's looking for a solution. And this might also work for older markets, right? So I get loads of YouTube ads from older property guys in the UK who do live workshops and whatever, because that just might work really well for their market. Which traffic sources don't work well for automated webinars, however, right? Meta ads, right? No one really is going to go from scrolling through their Instagram or their Facebook or their stories or their reels or whatever to signing up to your webinar in the first place is a difficult enough ask. Well, in fact, no, it's not a difficult enough ask, but then getting them to sign up and then getting them to sit on their phone screen, like in the Instagram internet search tab, and then getting them to watch the full webinar and then either pay you or book a call is just really unlikely, right? Same for TikTok, and then same for organic social, right? You can't really run organic socials to an automated webinar. Like I said before, if they're watching you on a webinar and then they go on their phone and then they see you tweeting or they see you posting Instagram reels, they're gonna be like, this isn't live, he's just bullshitting. But I will give the automated webinar some pros, right? So what are the pros? The pros are that you don't have to show up and do it. So you leverage your time. You can run them 24/7 if you do a just-in-time webinar, which is, it seems great on paper, right? Once it's created, you can obviously just use it again and again and again, 24/7. And it also will work well for the people who aren't really a fan of presenting live. Like if you're not really comfortable with having 500 to 1,000 people sat on the other side of the screen and you having to present to them all at once, then maybe film a banger in your own time, use it over and over again and whatever. But the cons of an automated webinar do outweigh it, right? I believe I have never watched an automated webinar, and I don't know anyone who's ever watched an automated webinar who's like my age, so I'm 21 years old, for example, who doesn't know that it's fake within 5 minutes, right? It's basically just a less effective VSL. Like, I don't know why you wouldn't just use a VSL. It's obviously fake scarcity, right? So if you say like, oh, there's only 10 spots left, it's like, really? On this recording, there's only 10 spots left? Like, was there 10 spots left earlier? Whatever. You're also unable to address the objections that people say in the chat because you don't actually have a Q&A and the chat isn't interactive. So that's a bit of a, some people, I'd like to think about this when we do our Q&A sections for our live challenge funnels or live webinars, is that someone might just be one question away from buying something from you. And if that's the difference between you making a £5,000 or dollar sale, just for the simple reason that you didn't do a live webinar and you didn't do a Q&A section at the end of it, would it be worth doing? And the answer is probably yes, right? It kind of lacks that personal touch that you need to convert a naturally skeptical audience. Like, the trust has never been lower in the coaching info products industry, right? If you're doing live webinars, that just isn't there. People can see that you're a human being. Drop-off rates will be high because people will realize as soon as it's a recording, they will probably just leave because they know you're going to send them the replay later anyway. And then also, it's trickier. It's a trickier funnel to get right. Like, ads have to be spot on. Your lander needs to be spot on. Your hook needs to be exceptional to get people to go from whatever they were doing to sitting through half an hour of your, or even an hour of your webinar. And then your follow-up process needs to be dialed in as well because the conversion rate isn't going to be very high. So how complex is it? Like I said before, in order for this to work, you need to have everything super dialed in. You must iterate and test things constantly. Like with a challenge or a live webinar, we get immediate feedback. So when we do a live webinar with our client, straight away, we get a massive sample size of data. We see how many calls we book, we see how many people purchased, and we can see how many people actually attended in comparison to how many people registered. We get that feedback straight away. Whereas if you put together an automated webinar, you're relying on running traffic to it. Like, you probably won't have the same sample size that you'd get from a challenge or a live webinar funnel for like maybe 2 weeks. Like, you know, if you don't have much traffic, you're not going to get that feedback, which means you can't iterate on it, which means for 2 weeks you're running something that's potentially not optimized, which just doesn't really make any sense. So if you haven't guessed already, I have a biased personal opinion on automated webinars, and I think that they were rinsed in 2016 by internet money gurus and they work for older markets, right? That's just my opinion on it. I don't think there's any point framing them as anything. Like, if you do want to do an automated webinar, there's no point framing them as anything other than just like a workshop recording if you're going to do it. And in my opinion, if you're going to put ad budget, if you're going to put traffic, if you're going to put your time into getting people on the phone or to buy your stuff, you're better off just using an opt-in, a video sales letter, a type form to qualify them, and a book a call funnel, right? That's just my opinion. And if you want your leads to be more nurtured with webinars, which is a good idea, just do a live one or a challenge funnel. And speaking of challenge funnels, let's talk about them, right? So challenge funnels, these are like the marathon runners, right? Live webinars are a sprint, automated webinars are like a slow 5K, whatever. This is for the marathon runners of one-to-many selling mechanisms, right? 3 to 5 day campaigns that can be lucrative, like seriously lucrative when executed correctly. I know that Daniel Fazio and the boys at Client Ascension did 200K on the back end, upselling people on Client Ascension after their last one, right? So challenge funnels involve delivering daily content over a specific period, right? 3 to 5 days. So for example, the Client Ascension one is 5 days. Russell Brunson's ones are usually 3 days, with the goal of helping the people who attend achieve a kind of like a mini transformation or a specific result by the end of it, which then kind of feeds into your like higher ticket paid solution. So I have seen a really big influx. I don't know whether it's just me, like the old Tony Robbins thing. If you look for something red, I can see something red around me, right? I don't know if it's just that, or if the big names have been using challenge funnels way more recently. So Fazio and the boys at Client Ascension, they don't do webinars or anything. They are strict VSL book a call type form people, and they're now doing challenge funnels. Dakota Robertson, now doing a challenge funnel. Iman Gadzi, now doing a live challenge funnel for B2C. He also did one for his B2B offer, AFL. And Russell Brunson, you know, he loves a good old challenge funnel. And this is for good reason, right? So challenge funnels work exceptionally well for high ticket offers, right? If you're selling something that's like 7.5 to 10K, this is a really powerful funnel for you to be using, right? Everyone here, except for Gadji, will be selling something high ticket on the back end of this challenge funnel. And one of the smartest aspects of a challenge funnel is the paid ticket model that people use, which allows you to recoup the ad spend up front and also probably make money by charging on the front end for it. So what people do is they will do like a tiered pricing approach. So they will have general admission, they'll have a VIP, and then they'll have VVIP, right? And you get extra touch points at each level. And this is really good for creating additional revenue streams while also making sure that you can then segment people out into who's the most serious, who's more financially qualified. And you also get to, like with the VVIPs, they will spend the most money with you up front, right? So they've demonstrated a level of commitment. And with the VVIP, what they'll probably do, or what you'll probably give them, is a higher level of access to you. So not only have they paid you already, not only are you doing the challenge, but you're probably interacting with these people already and building even more trust with them, not even on a one-to-many scale, on a one-to-one scale. So that's one of the smartest aspects of challenge funnels. So which offers work best for a challenge funnel? Now, challenge funnels will work really well For anything that you can kind of provide a short, like a mini transformation for people, coaching programs, really, really good. Everyone, if I go back here, all of these people will be selling a coaching program other than Gadsy on the back end of their challenge funnel, and they'll be charging high ticket for this. And also, if you've been in business for longer, or you work with like a bit more of a sophisticated market, so like the kind of B2C, B2B type offers, right? Where you're selling to existing business owners, but there might be people who are like 0 to 5 to 10 to 20K a month. That will work really well for these markets, right? They're less effective for low ticket products because it shouldn't take you 5 days to sell something that's low ticket. Which traffic sources work best for challenge funnels? Now, with a campaign like this, if you're gonna go ahead and do a challenge funnel, you're probably gonna need all the help that you can get. So you're gonna need social media organic, you're gonna need Instagram, you're gonna need Facebook, you're gonna need TikTok, you're gonna need YouTube, you're gonna need your email list, you're gonna need paid ads, potentially on all platforms. If you would like, if you have the ad budget to do it, or if you have a personal brand, just use your personal brand, it'll probably be easier for you. Content platforms, right? YouTube, post the VSL for the challenge funnel on YouTube, and also maybe get affiliates to promote the challenge funnel for you, or use partnerships, so get people to promote it to their audiences and do a bit of a deal with them, right? It also works really well if I said this earlier, so it works really well if the audiences aren't completely B2C, like getting total beginners to show up multiple times a day for multiple days in a row can be challenging, right? Unless your neighbor's in Mangadzi, he'll just do it anyway. Pros of using a challenge funnel. So you get the most amount of time and you get to build a relationship over a prolonged period of time, more than live webinars and certainly more than automated webinars. So that is a really big advantage to it. You get to demonstrate your expertise every single day and you don't have to kind of cram everything into one. You can kind of expand on each topic in the 3 to 5 days. You have this like progressive commitment to people where they attend on the first day, they do the homework, so they're kind of seeing the results in real time, and it creates this really nice buying momentum, similar to the yes momentum in live webinars, but you actually get implementation momentum on challenge funnels. You get real results for people before you upsell them to whatever you're doing, and you've also made a bit of money off getting them to pay on the front end. Higher perceived value because you've interacted with them more. Proving that your stuff works, it naturally qualifies people who complete the challenge. So if someone's been there for all 5 days, completed all the homework and everything, hit them hard. Get your appointment setters to hit them hard. Get automations in place so when they attend the Zoom meeting or whatever, that you then put that into your CRM or whatever, so you can go back at the end of the funnel and be like, right, this person attended 5 days and bought VVIP and attended the extra Q&A sections or whatever. They are someone who you should be hitting hard. You can actually get testimonials to do the next challenge, right? So you will actually get testimonials for the challenge to entice people into signing up for the next challenge, and you can get a wall of testimonials there for next time. You recoup the ad spend up front. The tiered pricing system gives you additional revenue, and you have multiple selling opportunities throughout the 3 to 5 days, not just at the end of it, at the end of the one-to-many presentation like you would at an automated webinar or a live webinar. FOMO, because it's a big thing, it's a big event, right? Buyers buy, people who will pay for the challenge are more likely to buy your main offer. You can do substantial amount of value without cramming it into 90 minutes like a webinar, and you can also recoup the ad spend with one-time order bumps, right? So one thing that I've seen Brunson do, one thing that I've seen other people do, is when you sign up to the challenge, they frame it as like a come prepared kind of offer, where here are the materials that will help you with the challenge, buy a physical workbook for it or whatever, and you can recoup even more ad spend with those one-time order bumps. Now, what are the cons of doing a challenge funnel? The cons of using a challenge funnel is that you are gonna it's a lot of it's front loaded, right? You've now got to create not just one kind of slideshow, you've got to create 5 days worth of slideshows, right? It's on a longer timeline for conversion, so it's not quite like, oh, you pitch on a webinar and you've made this amount of money in an hour. It's more like 3 to 5 days and then a big payoff at the end of it. There's more moving parts to manage than if you were just to do a single webinar. You need to add incentives in place to actually get people to show up every single day consistently and build that momentum in the presentations. Drop-off rate might be high without these strategies. You need robust community management because you usually give people access to a community. You don't want people coming in and sabotaging, calling you a scammer or whatever, so you need to manage that side of things. And you actually need to generate results for people who sign up for the challenge, which is different to a webinar, where the kind of point of a webinar is more to just educate people. Here we actually have to conduct something that's going to get people results. So it's going to take a bit more time to put together, which leads me into this, is how complex is a challenge funnel to get right? So it's pretty complex, right? It's going to take you a hot minute to build everything. You're going to have to put a lot of thought into it. But once you build this challenge funnel, you can then go through once you've gone through the process of doing it for the first time, you can use that material to do these challenges again and again and again and again. And here's my biased personal opinion on it. I think they're brilliant, right? I think that if you have a business that is organic driven, like, you can tickle a bit of paid ads in there as well, and it's high ticket, this is going to be a very, very powerful mechanism for you to use, right? Think about people like Will Brown doing 600K a month. He's now implementing challenge funnels. Daniel Fazio and the boys at Client Ascension, 1.2 mil a month. He's now implementing challenge funnels. Russell Brunson, ClickFunnels are probably valued at $1 billion. Challenge funnels, right? These people are these high level guys. They don't want the kind of, if you've got an established business and people know that, like, if you're going to do a webinar, they're going to be pitched at the end or whatever, challenge funnels might be for you, right? The examples that I gave earlier, like Fazio and Will Brown, they preach VSLs, but they rarely do webinars, but they will do challenge funnels. So that's something that's really worth taking note of. So let's recap what we've been through so far. I'm going to put timestamps in the video as well, so you can just kind of go back and look for everything. But let's look at, so live webinars, automated webinars, challenge funnels. Once a month live webinars. It's the best one-to-many vehicle to get started with for one-to-many, right? Difficulty, medium, high payoff. Automated webinars, 24/7 is the biggest advantage, good for YouTube ads. I personally think that you should just do a video sales letter. It's high to get right and the payoff isn't too much. Challenge funnels, 3 to 5 days, great for personal brands with traffic, great for slightly more sophisticated markets, high difficulty, extra high payoff. Now, if you want to go ahead and learn how to do one-to-many funnels, like a challenge funnel, like a live webinar, like an automated webinar or whatever, and you want to build one of these funnels yourself from scratch, even if you haven't done it before, that's fine. But I know that a select few of you who are watching this video might actually want us, me and my team at Webinar Wizards, to help you with this. And in that case, I have two options for you. So I have the done for you webinar and challenge funnel build, where we build everything from scratch for you. And we also have a beat your control offer, which is where you're currently doing challenges or you're currently doing webinars, will come in. The offer details and stuff will all be in the links in the description. So we basically come in and we'll tweak some things. And if we don't beat your control in 3 goes or less, then we'll work with you until you do. And if you want to see the offer details and the pricing, I put it in my VSL, so I'm not going to get you on a sales call and then be like, it's this much money. Like, no, you can literally just go and have a look at the offer and the pricing details in the description. And if you like this and maybe you don't want us to do it done for you, but you still want some other stuff, then subscribe to the channel, because all I talk about is one-to-many funnels, webinars, everything like that. And join my newsletter, because I usually kind of spit thoughts. I also share a lot of stuff in my newsletter about what we're actively doing for clients that I don't really want to put on YouTube, just in case people go and copy our tactics. But I will send it to my newsletter because I love the guys on my newsletter. So if you enjoyed this and you want more stuff, subscribe, join the newsletter. You want us to do it for you, go ahead, check the links in the description, no pressure. Subscribe, and I love you all lots. Bye-bye.